Hi, Frank. Okay, it is evaluation day. Here is your grandfather's world time. You said you played with this when you were a kid, when he was holding you, when you were a little boy, and that he died last year, and you grabbed this watch before it got tossed. They were going to throw this watch away. It's so sad. I can't even imagine what it would be like if you'd lost this. I can't imagine how many Seiko's vintage watches are in landfills. People just throw this stuff away. Believe me, this one would not have been the first one to land in a landfill. There must be tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Seikos sitting in landfills. Crazy. Let's talk the numbers. It's fully powered up. The mainspring definitely is gluey. So far, I'm not seeing anything that strikes me as unusual for a watch of this age that appears to have never been serviced. There are no servicing marks inside the case back. It's got a little bit of bead error, and it's running low. It's very, very, very typical. Very typical for one of these. This is the degree of the balance of the turn of the rotation. Let's see if I even got that one right. This is how far the balance turns back and forth. And this is really low. That's really low. It's like 100 points low. But that's not it just means that it needs service. You can see it's wavy and weak, and it just needs cleaning and love. But I tested all the functions, and everything works as it ought to. Yeah, I didn't see any servicing marks inside the case back, not one. The only thing I really see is, if you look at this screw right here, you can't really see it too much. The lower mainspring arbor port is slightly worn. Not terribly, I've seen worse. But it definitely is worn. That's the axle, the lower port for this axle that the mainspring barrel turns on. It's a little worn. Let's talk cosmetics. He definitely wore the watch. One can see that the watch was worn. You can also see that I don't believe it was ever serviced. Sorry, trying to get this all set. Yeah. By the way, I had a paint explosion. I had a thing of paint explode on me when I was working in the attic this weekend, and I haven't taken acetone or whatever the heck it is to get that off. So I don't normally work with dirty hands, but this is paint, and I can't get it off. I'm going to have to really scrub. Generally, movement's bright. I don't see any servicing marks inside the case back, not one. I mean, there's no marks inside there. I had to really work to get this. I had to really work to get the seal open too. It was absolutely. Case back did not want to come off. It had no interest in opening up. I had to get serious with it. It's an unusual watch. This model I don't see particularly often. I mean, yes, I see them, but this particular configuration with this handset, I don't see that often. It's very attractive. They don't come around very often. Looking through the scratched up crystal, we see the whiteness of the loom, the whiteness of the hand loom, even here in the pip. Seiko loom is salt-based, and it's reactive to moisture. It's the canary in the coal mine. So whenever water gets in, the loom is the first thing to go. So we see bright white loom like this, we can pretty much know what we're going to be finding inside. So looking at the dial surface looks good. The printing is bright. Your printing on your rotating ring is also nice and bright. Look at the orange flashes on it. That's great. Cosmetically, it's a beautiful watch. The case is definitely worn, but it's original. After service, this will be a great watch. Be a nice watch. It's going to need potentially lower mainspring arbor port repair, but beyond that, it's going to need the basics. It's going to need a case rebuild with seals. It's going to need a new crystal. But functionally, everything else works fine. I mean, it hacks. God, bless it. Would you stop it? Stop it. Stupid thing. I shouldn't complain as much. It was free, but God, it's so annoying. So we see this sweep seconds hand there. Boop, and it stops. Hacking works fine. Ring turns fine. Your stem is intact. The date switches over as it ought to. Go here. Your quick set works. So it is just fine. Yep, no problems. There are people who are a lot more conversant with the ins and outs of these particular models than me. Some of these, depending on how the cities are printed on this, are quite rare. I don't know if this is one of those, but it's something to research. Okay, thank you much. Let me know if you want me to move ahead.